Bill Cosby expected to be sentenced. What is the expectation? What are we expecting that he will get? Is it possible jail time?
So he's 81 years old, quite feeble health. He's legally blind, but he's facing up to 30 years behind bars as a sentence. Obviously, unlikely he'd serve out that term. That would bring him to well over 100 years of age if he were sentenced to 30 years and serve that out. The likelihood is that he'll get something more like 10. We've even heard some comments from the judge that obviously on both sides there's a lot of pressure on him on the one side to give the full possible sentence of 30 years. On the other side, there's a certain amount of public sympathy for someone who is so elderly. So I would predict at the end of this 2-day hearing, we'd probably see something like 10 years. Some of the bigger questions are, will he, as of Tuesday night when this hearing will have wrapped up, will he go straight to jail? That's a possibility, that he will be handcuffed and brought straight to the prison, treated like any other non-celebrity person. It's possible he would even go into solitary confinement, given that there are, security concerns about him being so famous, and also we know that people who are found guilty of sexual assault often face their own security risks in prison. So lots of eyes on Philadelphia over the next 2 days as the sentencing hearing plays out.
And I mean, Mary, it was a shocker. I mean, when this all came to light in the first place, I mean, he was our favorite comedy dad. That was Bill Cosby. Nobody ever expected that this was going to happen. And then we saw one woman after another just, coming out with these allegations. To date, do we have, I mean, how many women have accused him of sexual assault?
Well, you're exactly right. The numbers are astonishing. Between 60 and 70, many of those women who would have been much younger than him, who he sort of plied with his fame, his money, and his power, insinuating that he would get them roles, that he would help them make it in Hollywood, and instead he, it turns out, was drugging them and having sexual relations with them. Really the opposite of that America's dad, the world's dad image that we saw on the Cosby Show. Now we know that some of the women did report these instances as early as 2004, but the big story broke around 2014, 2015, but it was only in this latest trial back in April that a judge finally nailed him down and said and convicted him, and is now sending him most likely as of this week to jail.
Well, what's been the fallout of all of this, Mary? I mean, with the Me Too movement, and we saw the debate, we saw people saying different things. When it came to Bill Cosby, and like you say, the astounding number of women, I mean, between 60 and 80 women, has there been any support for Bill Cosby? Has it divided the industry as it has with the Me Too movement?
I would say that since it happened before his story broke, certainly a good number of years before the Me Too movement itself, that if anything, the movement then coming along sort of galvanized the people speaking out against him, and people finally starting to say, well, any woman who comes forward with sexual assault, certainly there are people who make false accusations, but largely those accusations must be taken seriously. He is seen as, even again, if this broke before the actual Me Too movement, he's seen as the first person to be criminally convicted and now going to jail. In this new era of seeing these types of crimes differently, there also is a bit of talk about the fact that why is the first person to go to jail an African-American man, saying that the hopes are that other people who have also carried out these types of crimes, whether it's Harvey Weinstein or others, will also face the same criminal justice system that Bill Cosby is facing as we speak.